Hey everyone, today I want to review and talk about the Peak Design Carbon Fiber Travel Tripod. I want to go over what I like, what I don't like, and give you guys some final thoughts at the end of the review. The first pro that I want to talk about is the fact that this thing is so small and light. You can look at a video of this thing and you can see me hold it on the video and you can be like, oh look, a small tripod. It's really small. It comes in a small bag, it's got an integrated head so you don't have to have a separate head sticking out from the top of it. It is also extremely light. If you're looking for a lightweight small tripod to travel with, this thing is awesome. I think Peak nailed it with the size and the weight of this thing. On top of that, one of the biggest things I always review on a tripod is how tall it can get. And I don't know the exact specs. You could obviously just go on B&H and look them up. But I do know that for me, when I was not extending the center column that much, because I don't like to do that because it reduces stability, I was easily able to bring this up to a high enough level that I could comfortably use the tripod without any issue. So it's small, it's light, and it still gets reasonably tall without using that much of the center column. Another pro of this tripod, and I already mentioned it, is that the head is integrated. There's no need for a separate head. All you've got to do is raise the center column just a little bit, something like that, and then you're able to adjust the head like this with the camera mounted to the plate up at the top. That's really cool and it saves a lot of space. I don't know of really any ball head that only takes up about 1.5 inches of space, so that's really impressive. Another pro on this tripod having to do with the head is that the quick release system is standard Arca Swiss. So if you already have an Arca Swiss plate for your camera, which I recommend everyone gets because that's one of the best things about the Arca Swiss system is getting a custom plate for your camera. But if you do, you can actually remove these two little grub screws right here and you're able to mount a full width Arca Swiss plate to the top of this head, which is super sweet. Moving along with this tripod, another thing that we can do that's super awesome is convert the long post into a short post. So the post is that center part of the tripod right here. And long posts are great because they give the tripod a little bit of extra height. You're able to raise the tripod a foot higher than you would otherwise be able to do. But the problem is it's at the expense of stability. So I don't really prefer to use a long post that often. The advantage of a short post, you lose the ability to get the tripod taller, but you get the ability to bring the tripod lower. The legs on this will actually go out almost flat. You can see actually, yep, they go out about that far, which if you have the short post instead of the long post, that means that your whole tripod camera setup can be like 6 inches off the ground, which for macro photography or landscape photography is super awesome. Another great thing about this tripod is the fact that there is a phone holder integrated into the long post, so very easily you can use your iPhone. And I always kind of laughed at that. I've never bought an iPhone adapter for a tripod because I've always thought, I don't need it. Having it though, like for the last month, has been super awesome. I've been using it all the time. I've done a few Instagram live streams, and just having the ability to pop my phone onto a tripod is just kind of neat. You don't really realize how much you would use something like that until you have that capability. And the fact that it stores inside of that long post is really easy because you always have it whenever you might need it. Now there's two more really great things about this tripod that I want to mention. The first is that there actually is an integrated tool kit, and I'd say tool kit kind of loosely here, but it comes with a couple Allen wrenches that actually store on the leg of the tripod. And Peak actually has a ton of tutorials on how to do maintenance on all parts of this tripod, which I absolutely adore. They're really approaching this as a tripod that you're gonna have for years. They sell spare parts, they go over how to do maintenance, it's really awesome. But with those two tools that store on the leg, you're able to pretty much do everything you would need to do to the tripod in the field if something were to be loosened or something wasn't to work. In fact, you use one of those tools to remove the long post super easily. So I really like that it does that. The final pro that I think is worth mentioning is that this thing seems very well built. It feels cheap. And what I mean by that is when you're using it, like when I first took it out of the bag and I extended the legs, let's see if you can hear it. It just, you hear that? It's just not like, it doesn't sound super solid, but I've been opening and closing it probably once or 2 or 3 times a day for the last month. Haven't been treating it gingerly at all, and it has performed perfectly. No issues, nothing, everything's holding just as tight as it was. And I think they did a really good job keeping the build lightweight while also keeping it durable. I don't anticipate any problems coming down the line. It seems to be very well made. So don't be put off, you might be put off a little bit by the weird kind of cheapy sound of it, but you can trust me, at least for the time that I've been using it, it hasn't had any issues whatsoever. Now, with all that said, I want to get into the cons, and there are a few of them that I think are worth mentioning. The first of which has to do with the head. Now, we already talked about the head and how much I liked it, but there are a couple things I wish that they would have improved. The first is the locking system. So the way that the head locks and unlocks is with this small lever right here. You basically flip the lever to one side and it locks, you flip it to the other side and it unlocks. The problem is if you put a DSLR on here with a bigger lens, it's really hard sometimes to get your finger onto that lever to get traction on it in order to unlock or lock the plate from coming on and off the tripod. Now, the plate's not just going to randomly pop off, like it is spring loaded here. This thing is spring loaded, so it's not going to just like fly off, but I wish that that lever was a little bit larger or a little bit easier to use. Another thing with the head is the fact that you have to have the short post raised in order to change the angle of the head. If the short post is all, or the long post is all the way down, set on top, there's no way to do any sort of adjustment to the head. It's always pointing straight ahead. So I wish that there was a way, I don't know how engineers would do this, but that you could retain the stability of having the post lowered all the way while still giving you the ability to change the angle and the direction of the ball head. One other head related thing is the fact that this head is not removable. There's no way to easily take the head off and put on your own head with, say, another 3/8 by 16 thread. Most tripod legs that are of the price range that these cost, or that this costs, give you the ability to use your own head if you want to. I'm personally a huge fan of the Kirk Enterprise BH3 ball head. I love that head. It's awesome. I wish that if I wasn't going for as small and light as it could possibly be, that I could pop this head off, pop my BH3 on there without any sort of weird adapters, and just go off to town. The next kind of little downside about this is the fact that the ballast hook, which is really awesome that they included one. Ballast hook is that little guy right here at the bottom. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen, making sure we get that focused. That ballast hook can only mount to the bottom of the long post, not the bottom of the short post. And for me, I am of the kind of side that I would run the short post all the time. I would basically pop this whole long post extension off and just run the short post so that I could get low. And I do that all the time, and that's how I run all my other tripods. The problem is I'm not able to use the ballast hook if I did that. So I wish the ballast hook would connect to the short post so I could just leave the long post home, because honestly I'm not really going to use that, because basically a long post is attaching a monopod to your tripod, which reduces the stability. So you guys, those are all pretty nitpicky. That's honestly all the cons I have. Overall, I love this thing. Like, truly, this is an amazing tripod. But I think we need to have a quick discussion on who it's for. You need to understand that it has the travel tripod distinction. And that's important because I think a lot of photographers are going to be looking at this tripod as a good first tripod, a good first and only tripod. It's kind of the cool tripod right now, and tripods weren't cool for really at all until this one came along. So I want to talk a little bit about that. If you don't own a tripod and you want to get the abilities that a tripod gives you, like to use a slower shutter speed or to do night photography or astrophotography, those are all awesome. But I probably wouldn't pick this tripod up as my first one because you're taking a big hit when it comes to stability. I said it was very stable for the type of class of tripod that it is, and that's true. For a travel tripod, this is a super stable one. But the thing to understand is that I would never use a tripod like this for super crucial landscape work, for super crucial astro work, for super crucial night work, because it just doesn't have that stability to it, and I would always rather take a slightly heavier tripod in those situations. If you're looking for your first tripod and this one interests you, definitely consider it, but I think I might recommend starting with something like a Manfrotto 190 series, something a little bit heavier that's going to be more versatile and more stable in more situations. The way that I see this one fitting in is as an awesome second tripod. Someone who does a lot of traveling and they want something that's super lightweight to toss in their suitcase and bring along with them, I think this is a great way to go. They really nailed it. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's just not a great first tripod because I think the lack of stability is going to run a lot of people into trouble when they start pushing that shutter speed longer, or when they're looking for repeatability, or when they're working in the studio doing product photography. Whatever it happens to be, there are more situations I can think of that would benefit from a heavier tripod than there are that would benefit from a lighter tripod. So if you already have a tripod and you're looking for a travel one, hands down, this is the best travel tripod I've ever used, bar none. It's perfect in that respect. but do understand that it is a travel tripod. Hope you guys liked this review. Hit that thumbs up button if you did. If you guys didn't, you know what to do. If you have a question, comment, whatever it is, maybe you own the Peak Travel Tripod and you love it, let me know down in the comment section. Lastly, hit subscribe down there or up there to stay up to date with future videos, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Also, PS, next week, the video on advanced photo storage part 3, that's for part 3, is going to be coming out, where we look at how to set up a NAS, how to configure all that stuff, and really get you off to the races. So if you guys are excited about that, I would love you to hit that like button, let me know that you like it, and I will have that out next week for you guys. So look forward to that one.